God is the mastermind of Latry and deception, and God is the one whose name is known as Shaytaan. Friends, the God of Christendom and the God of the many religions in the world, and also the God of the many regions of the major geopolitical regions of the world that are Shaytaans. And God is Shaytaan, whom is the head of also their governments, and whose name is none other than God Gadriel, whom is the God of this world, and whom is known as Shaytaan. And it is because Shaytaan is God, whom is being worshipped in this world. And Shaytaan is the architect, and the mastermind of these Latry and religions, and Satan is the one, whom is also behind it all. And Shaytaan is the master of deception. And Shaytaan has caused many of the people in the world to be enslaved in the many Latry and in the many religions that are in the world. And whether these are religions or deems, or whether they are forms of political governments, or whether they are from the religious governments, or whether they are the laws that are a form of Sharia law, and whether they are the laws from the many religions that are controlling all of us, or whether they are the laws that are being used to control all of us, and which are by the design of the world's governments, or by Latry, or by the many religions, or by the many religious cults that are in the world, friend, if they are evil, they are from Shaytaan. Friends, these are Latry, and all these are forms of Latry that are in the form of religious control from the governments, and they are also the controls of Shaytaan. And whom have caused many people in the world to be deceived by religion, and by the world's many religious cults, and by the many religious governments, and by their many different religious beliefs, and even from those wicked devices and controls that are from the world's religious leaders, them, whom are the heads of all the major religions, and from the many religions that are in the world. And also from their false teaching, and which is the deception of Shaytaan, and also which is from their evil wiles, and which is the error that is in their false doctrines, and which are heresies, and which are the lies that are in their false doctrine, and which are the errors that are in their beliefs, and which is the misleading information which is coming from the many religious leaders, and from the oath of abjuration, and which is the sin of error that is the worship of the many Latry, and which is the errors that is in the doctrine that is in the world's religions, and which is in their religion and their beliefs, and which have being taught to us to deceive us all. And which is the wiles of Shaytaan, which is leading many of us astray, and away from me. And Elu'hymn, whom is the sovereign king of the heavens and the earth. And these people are Jesuits and false teachers, and they have been misleading many of us for eons. And many have gone astray by the many different Latry that are in the world. And by the Latry of Shaytaan, and by their false information, or doctrine, and by the worshipping of many different gods, even from deception of God and Jesus, that is in the world. And which is from all the false worship, and which is from the deception of Shaytaan, and which is from their oath of abjuration, or which is from their unwillingness to accept and their rejection of whom is the Almighty One, and whom is the Almighty and whom is the sovereign King of all the heavens and the earth, and whom is the Creator of all mankind, and whom mankind have rejected for their Latry, and for their false religions, and which is the sin of Latry, and which is the sin of idolatry, which is leading mankind away from the worshipping of the Sovereign One, whom is called Elu'hymn, and whom is called and the Almighty and Elu'hymn. Because they have chosen to accept God and Isis, whom today is known as Jesus, and when they refuse to embrace the holy sacred name of the Holy One, whose holy sacred name is known as Holy. My friends, Shaytaan is God, and Shaytaan is the face of the many gods that are being worshipped in the world. And God is the short form of the name of Gadriel, whom is called God. And God Gadriel has about 30,000 different names. Please see my message, which is called, The 30,000 Gods. And in the humble beginnings of Islam and the origins of the Quran, the name of God was known as Baal God, and Baal Peer or Bad Baal. And Baal Zebub and Beelzebub, and Bel, and also the dragon. And also the old serpent known as Draco, and the gods of this world. And Baal God, Baal was the name of God, whose name was also known as Hubal, and Baal God, and Baal, and the Lord, and also Baal Zebub. And whom was also known as Shaytaan, and Iblis, and Shaytaan and Satan. And whom is the prince of darkness and the king of the abyss. and whom is called the Destroyer, and Apollyon, and Abaddon. Friends, there are many dissenters of Islam, and also many more of these dissenters of Islam whom are religious researchers, whom have left their faith for Christendom and from the deen of Islam and its Sharia laws, and whom are now encouraging the Muslims to leave their Islamic faith, and to denounce Muhammad as the Holy Prophet, and to leave their Islamic faith for Christendom, and to embrace God and His Son Jesus. But friends, they are also sadly mistaken. Because Baal means Lord. And Baal is also a god, and Baal is none other than the Lord, Baal God, Baal Peor or Bad Baal. And whom is also a Canaanite god. And Baal is also known as the Son of God. And whom is also known as Yeshua and Yeshua, or Issa, and Gesu and Ihs and Isis and Judas Jesuit Jesus. And whom is also known as the Deceiver, and the Devil, and also whom is the Evil One, whom is called Shaytaan. Friends, the worshipping of any god or the lauding of any god is also known as Latry. And it could be Lordolatry and Idolomancy or idolatry. And God and Jesus are the two major gods that are being worshipped in the world today. Friends, the god Hubal is believed to be the name of God before the early beginnings of the worship of many of the religions in the time of Christendom. And whom was one of the major gods, that was being worshipped at the time of the upbringings of a certain Nabatean king, and whom was against the Nabatean leader, Zubayr Ibrahim al-Awwam, and whom was against the Tayyi Arabic tribe, and whom was also against the worshippers of Elu'hymn, whom were calling upon whom is the Odd, and whose name is called and the Holy One, and whom is also known as Elu'hymn, and Elu'hymn, whom is the sovereign King of heaven. And Ilyas Abrahim, whom was a leader of a large Arabic tribe of people in the Middle East, whom were called Tayyi tribe or the Tayyi people, and whom were from a descendant of Abraham ancestry, and whose name was known as Ilyas Abrahim of Tayyi, and whose name is still being misidentified to be that of Zubayr Ibrahim al-Awwam, whom was an Arab Muslim commander in the service of the Caliphate, and whom was against the worshipping which was the right way, and whom were all against the religion of the day, and whom was against the Tayyi tribe and their beliefs, because they were against the Nabateans' religion, and whom were also against the many false religions, and whom were also against the false worship of the day, which was at that time called polytheism and Jesuitism, and also heathenism or Nabateanism, and which was different to the faith of Ilyas Abrahim's, and also his beliefs. And when the Nabateans' god Hubal was being worshipped, and when the beliefs of the Nabatean religion was very dominant, and which was the religion of the very first Mecca and the beliefs of the first Meccan believers, whom had rejected Ilyas Abrahim beliefs, and also when the beliefs of the Jesuits and Jesuitism, and the worship of Hubal, Baal was being lauded and Isis was being worshipped. And when the Nabatean religion and paganism or polytheism, was the religion of the day. And when Baal worship and the worshipping of several other gods was dominant. And when the Nabateans were worshipping Al-Hazza and Manat and Alat, whom the temple of Wadi Rum was dedicated to. And when the chief god was Hubal, Baal. And also for their other local gods, as well as for Baal Shaman and Isis, and also the many Greco-Roman gods, such as Tycho and Dionysus. And also their goddesses, whom were worshipped as fertility gods and destiny gods. And when they had rejected the worship of Elu'hymn, for the worship of Baal and God, whom was also known as God and Yeshua, and whom is known as Judas Jesuit Jesus today, as in the religion of Christendom or Christianity nowadays. And then Al-Malik, whom was in the service of the Nabatean king, whom led the way for the Nabateans' faith at the first Mecca before the Muhammadan faith, and before it was first known as the Islamic faith, and before it was known as the faith of the Muslims. And this was long before the rise of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. And later on, when the father of Muhammad had his sons, whom were instrumental in the rise of Muhammadanism. And this was before Abdullah al-Muttalib ibn Hashim, the father of Muhammad, who died, when the Prophet Muhammad was yet quite a baby, and when he was only about 2 months old. and later on when Muhammad was brought up by his grandfather. Until around the time when Muhammad was about 40 years old, when he was praying to God in a cave. And when he had a visitation of God. And when he was believed to be possessed. And when he was chosen to be the holy prophet of God. And whom according to the satanic verses the Quran was given to Muhammad, when God gave the verses of the Quran to Muhammad. And when Muhammad became the mouthpiece for God. And whom many now believe that Muhammad was deceived by Shaytaan. Because Muhammad could not tell the difference between the Holy One, whom is called the Almighty, when he was in a cave, and when he was visited by an angel or a jinni, whom Muhammad thought was the angel Gabriel, and whom he believed was sent to him from God, whose name he knew to be called Allah. And whom many scholars today are equating Allah to be God, and whose name is also known to be called Shaytaan. Friends, while writing this message, Elu'hymn spoke to me and he said to me, that I don't have to twist or reword any of the saying of the words of Muhammad, nor either any of his works, and that the Prophet Muhammad was the one whom was sent to the Muslim. And that Muhammad has been dead for many years now. And so has been Judas Jesuit Jesus, but whom is now a devil. Whom is that evil spirit that is roaming the earth? And that Muhammad, we have been told, has been buried. And that he hasn't been resurrected yet. And his sayings have been written down, and they have been compiled into what is known as the Holy Quran. And also all the sayings of God and Jesus which are blasphemous sayings and which are heresies and equivocation that are in the word of God and Jesus, which is known as the Holy Bible. And in the end many would stand before Elu'hymn, whom is the sovereign judge. And whom would judge everyone. Because no one is going to get into His holy kingdom without being sealed with the holy sacred names of He. Because all the heavens and the earth belongs to Elu'hymn. And whom is the odd? And whom is the sovereign king of all the heavens and the earth? Because He is the Creator. Friends, the disciples, or the followers of Muhammad, and whom are the people of the Muslim faith, and whom are all those whom are adhering to Islam, and whom are embracing Allah whom they believe to be God, and also all those who are also my brethren. Regardless of what are their beliefs, they too would have to give to Elu'hymn an account for themselves. And friends, it is because we all are the descendants of Abraham. Even though many of us may have a hard time proving our heritage. Friends, the God of this world is the author of confusion. And he is that evil one whom is Shaytaan, and whom is the one whom have been driving a wedge between the people who are of a Muslim persuasion, or whom are of a Mohammedan belief, and even all those who are Christians, and even all those whom are from those religions whose faith is based upon the abjuration oath of the Jesuits, and from the oath of the rejection of Elu'hymn, whom is the sovereign one, whom is the odd of heaven. And also from the laws and the commandments of Elu'hymn, whom is the Almighty, and whom is the sovereign king of all the heavens and the earth, and whom have created all things, even from in the time of the creation, and even from in the time of the beginning of the world. Friends, even from the time when Shaytaan the beguiler first sinned, and when Shaytaan disobeyed Elu'hymn, and when he corrupted His creation and human beings, by sleeping with the first woman. And whom hasn't stopped there. Because he is still deceiving the world today. Just because he thinks that the people in the world are his. Friends, it is time that we learn the truth. And that is this: we all have been created by Elu'hymn, whom is the odd. And whom is the sovereign king and the holy one, whose name is called Holy. And also whose name is also called the Almighty. And that He is the Holy One, and that it was the Holy One, whom was the sovereign king, and whom was the Creator, whom came down from heaven to die, and to redeem us back to Himself. And so that we would not have to perish in this world nor neither in the world to come. And that just by us believing in the holy sacred name of He, and that Elu'hymn is the Holy One, and that He is the only way, and that He is the holy name of our Creator, and that it was Elu'hymn, whom became Elu'hymn, and whose name it is, that has been given to us to be saved. And if we all would embrace Elu'hymn and Elu'hymn and and if we all would reject God, and also all the names for God, the 30,000 for God, and also all the names of God's Son, Jesus, that, we all would be blessed, and we all would be with Elu'hymn, in His holy kingdom. And we all would attain His, free gift of His everlasting life. And also we all would spend our eternity with He, in His holy kingdom. Hallelujah. Friends, we all got to overcome all the names of God and His Son, whom is also called Yeshua and Yeshua and Gesu and Ihs and Jesus, and whom is also known by many other names. So that we all can be saved. Friends, and brethren, and all those whom are Muslims and Christians, and those that are non-religious. We all have being invited into the holy kingdom of Elu'hymn. And all we have to do is to put aside all the confusion, and the abjuration oath of Shaytaan, that is leading us away from Elu'hymn. And which is leading us away from Elu'hymn, and from His holy sacred names. And only then can we then pledge to embrace and serve Elu'hymn with all of our hearts, and only then can we all worship Elu'hymn, whom love us all. And whom wanna save us all. So my friends, my brothers, and my brethren, let us all return to Elu'hymn, whom is the sovereign King of all the heavens, and the earth. And whom is still waiting for us to call upon His holy sacred name. So let us all start putting our trust, and our faith in Elu'hymn, whom is called the Holy One, and whom is and Christ, and whom is our Odd, and whom is called whom is whom is the Odd known as Elu'hymn, and whom is our Creator, and whom is whose name is our salvation, and whom is also the light of the world, and whom has all the power and might, and whom has the keys to death and life. Because He is the resurrection. So let us all do it today. Thank you. My friends, and may Elu'hymn opened up your eyes to these truths, and to the lies and the blasphemies and the deceit and the deception of God, whom is also known as Shaytaan, and whom is the archfoe of all of us. Thank you, and thanks for listening. And thank you for your time. And I hope that this message haven't fallen on deaf ears. Because, friends, many in the world are dubious to these facts, and many would be lost because of the lies and the blasphemies of Shaytaan, and because Shaytaan is also the administrator of death. And Shaytaan is now very busy harvesting the souls of mankind. And, friends, once we all would have died, there is no repentance in our grave. So, my friends, we all have to return to Elu'hymn, before it is too late. And while we are still in the land of the living. Thank you. Friends, please check out my message, which is called His Holy Invitation to all of us. Friends, for more information about Hubal Baal, please visit the links below. Thank you. The end.